Hi, and thank you for joining us for the pre-registration webinar for the Oklahoma Science of Reading Academies. My name is Melissa Algrim. I'm the Director of Reading Sufficiency.
And I am Megan Ashball, the Early Literacy Program Specialist working with the Science of Reading Academies.
And our purpose here today is to help guide you through what the expectations would look like for joining the Oklahoma Science of Reading Academies. So let's talk about what these academies are. This is an initiative to support Oklahoma educators with evidence-based practices for reading instruction. So through sustained and job-embedded professional learning on the science of reading, teachers will be able to know how to best reach the students they have in their classrooms. The Science of Reading Academies will be using the Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling, or LETRS, learning modules as the learning platform. These academies are part of our state's comprehensive plan, Oklahoma Ready Together, which is being funded through our Federal Relief American Recovery Plan dollars. The approximate cost for the academies in total is about $13 million that the state of Oklahoma is investing in our learning for early literacy. So what are the purpose of our academies? What are we hoping to achieve? First things first is we want to increase the reading outcomes for our elementary students. We want to make sure that our students know how to read and read well. We also want to educate teachers on how to meet the reading needs of students through the information that they will learn through the LETRS learning modules. The state of Oklahoma wants to make sure that we are providing quality professional learning in the science of reading for our educators and to explain how to use their existing curriculum resources effectively.
So the Science of Reading Academies is being offered at no cost to educators who work with K-3 students here in Oklahoma. And the value of this program is nearly $1,300 per participant. And Oklahoma, of course, is covering this with our relief funds. The value covers print materials for LETRS, as well as an online access for the modules and the training for each unit.
So what is LETRS? Let's make sure that we know what the learning program is that we're talking about. So LETRS is based on those foundations of literacy that we know that all students need to have: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. In addition, LETRS also addresses those important skills that support reading, like writing, spelling, and oral language. Teachers will learn through LETRS through the different volumes. In that first year, volume 1, they will have units 1 through 4, in which participants will really look at deep dive into theoretical models from reading science, as well as looking closely at phonology, basic and advanced phonics, as well as how screening and educational diagnostic assessment can be used to help really reach their students. In the second year, volume 2, participants will look at units 5 through 8, which takes a deeper dive into how to teach vocabulary, language, and reading comprehension, as well as writing. So there's some different modalities that are used through the LETRS program. One is that you will participate in some online asynchronous modules. And through those modules, you will do some short readings, watch videos of somebody explaining concepts so that you're having some oral participation there. And you will also have access to print materials. So you will also get 2 print manuals that goes over some of that same information that's going through on your online sessions, but maybe in a slightly different way. And then after each unit, or the 6 to 8 sessions, you will engage in either a face-to-face or a virtual session with a trained facilitator and colleagues that are also going through LETRS at the same time, so that you can take a deeper dive into some of those big concepts that were addressed in that unit, and maybe practice some practical application opportunities for how to do something or how it might look in your classroom. Letters uses a blended model of both online work and print materials. So one of the things that participants have found to be very helpful is to have that session up on their computer and their print manual right beside them at the same time. And so as you're going through the online module, you might see 4 or 5 different sections within that session. And so you might listen to the videos or read the material within that first section and then turn to your print material and read that to help reinforce what was just discussed. And then to go back and forth between the online module and the print materials to really help increase how you are learning, just like what we do with our students in the classroom. You will also find on those online modules different embedded videos that show what this actually looks like in a classroom. So you'll see teachers working with real students, troubleshooting with different programs, or saying, this is how we just discussed this concept. This is how it looks when it's actually being taught in a classroom. So a lot of times you'll see this with small groups so that you can really see how the teacher-student interactions go, or maybe the teacher words as they're trying to get across a concept. Then also you'll see some different activities and active learning pieces as part of the Letters platform. And in both the online through PDFs as well as in the appendices of the print materials, you'll see some different supports that you can use in your classroom. For example, you might see a general phonics lesson plan template, which they will go over quite extensively, actually in units 3 and 4, of how to really address phonics in your classroom. Now you'll notice that this is a template because it's not a set of lessons being given to you. Letters is going to give you the knowledge to enable you to use the resources that you have in your classroom already, to be able to maybe tweak things a little bit or find out where you might need to supplement just a little bit and give you the tools to be able to do that effectively and efficiently. So you might see a template for how can we make sure that we're addressing all of the components of a quality phonics lesson plan. You might also see a checklist for how to address comprehension. What do we do for before reading, during reading, and after reading to ensure that our students are able to engage with and understand the text that they're working with? You'll also might find a sample scope and sequence for word studies so that we can see what is it that we should expect our typically developing students to be able to do in certain grade levels when it comes to being able to work with words and to be able to read and to spell. Finally, you'll see that throughout the Letters sessions, there is our Bridge to Practice activities. These are activities that allow you to take what you have just learned through the online modules and through your print materials, and then to apply them in small chunks. So just like, again, what we do with our students, we read about something and then we have an opportunity to apply it so that we can really get that embedded down and we can actually use the information that we're learning. So these Bridge to Practice activities, again, accompany each of those sessions each week. What they generally recommend is that you select 3 students out of your classroom or 3 students that you can work with regularly to practice these activities. So it might include doing an intervention type activity or to give them a short diagnostic assessment to see where they might need additional help, but to be able to troubleshoot some of those things. These types of activities are things that might be discussed further in your facilitated trainings. And they're also a great opportunity that if you are working through letters with other colleagues, either in your building or some colleagues that you know of, to say, let's bring those Bridge to Practice activities. How did we apply what we learned? What did we notice? I know this seemed really odd. How can we help work through that? So it gives us that jumping off point to really have those robust conversations about what we're learning and how that can actually change our practice in the classroom.
So we had mentioned before that at the end of each unit, there is a facilitated session with a Letters trainer. When you register, you will choose the training options that best fit your schedule and your needs. Some of these options you will choose between virtual or blended. And blended in this instance means both a mixture of virtual trainings and in person when those are able to be offered. You'll choose the time of day you would like to attend, which is during the contract day, in the evening, or even on Saturdays. Again, you can select the day of the week that works best for your schedule. And then finally, if you selected a blended option, meaning you could attend in person, you will select the location that is most convenient for you, and we will do our best to match up your preferences with what's available. As for when the facilitated sessions are, if you select a virtual option, these will be broken down into 2 3-hour sessions for each unit. Evenings will always be virtual. And if you selected blended, half of your sessions will be the 2 3-hour sessions of virtual learning, and then half will be in person. And the in-person sessions will be 1 6-hour session for each unit. There is a minimum number of participants to qualify for a group. So if there is an instance when a group does not have enough to make, that group will then turn virtual and merge with another learning group. So they will still be able to attend training.
So what should you expect when we get ready for these facilitated sessions? So if you are attending during the day, it is critical that you have coverage for your class. We all know how hard it is to teach. It's also hard to listen for professional development. You can't do both at once. So the district, if you are choosing to do this during the contract day, the district will need to pay for your substitute. And so you do need to clear this with your administrator before registering if you are going to select this option. If substitutes are going to be a problem, either because of being able to pay for them or because they are not available, then we would suggest that you look into an evening or Saturday selection for your facilitated sessions. Each participant will need to log in on their own device. We know we have several schools where we have multiple teachers in that school and they want to be together for their session. That's perfectly fine. What we see a lot of schools doing to do this effectively is they might all meet together in a classroom or a library where everyone has their own device and some headphones, and they're able to log in and interact and still have those conversations during a break. But be aware that these sessions are not just a sit and listen to a talking head. These are highly interactive sessions that involve you answering things like polls, doing activities maybe on a Jamboard, entering answers into a chat, being able to have a conversation. So if you are not on your own device, we have found that you're not able to interact as effectively, which really takes away from the quality of that session, not only for you, but for everyone participating. We do ask that cameras be on if at all possible. We understand that sometimes there are exceptions to that, but it does really help, again, with the energy and the quality of the session if your camera is on so that you can interact. I know just even presenting myself, it can be much easier to actually talk to faces rather than the blank screens with just a name on them. And as a participant, you do need to be in a place where you can interact throughout the session. So we know we all have busy lives. We do as well. We're trying to shuttle kids back and forth or help parents out, go to appointments. So if you know that you're not going to be able to interact, that might not be the best time for you to attend. So we do need you to be able to engage in that session. It is helpful to have your print manual with you as well as any note-taking materials. Personally, I like to have a stash of Post-it notes because we go back to those print manuals throughout the session, referring back to those pages so that I can mark those pages that were really important for me to refer back to as I'm still continuing to help my students and figure out how to work through this with my classroom. So what happens if you can't attend at that time? We all know emergencies happen, kids get sick, we get sick, an appointment comes up that we can't reschedule. Never fear, we have it covered. You can request a change to the date that you are scheduled to meet. There will be plenty of opportunities. So on the website, which we will show you a little bit in a moment, there will be a calendar of the different trainings that are available. You can hyperlink to those that are available. You can ask for that change to happen. If for some reason something happens afterwards or you're having a hard time, Megan is here to help you with that, as well as Dylan. We will get that taken care of. If it is an emergency, please do not make this your first priority. Please take care of yourself first. So if you're on their way to the emergency room or you have a kid that has suddenly gotten very ill, we can take care of it after the fact. As much as we can do beforehand, it makes it much easier for us and for you. But we've all received that panic call 5 minutes before a session starts, saying that we've had somebody that said they're on the way to the hospital. This should not be your first call. We can take care of it. But we do have that opportunity for changing that. If you know that you are going to miss more than 10 minutes of a session, we ask that you do reschedule for another time. These sessions will go from the very beginning to the very end, and they are jam-packed, full of information. So if you're missing more than 10 minutes on either side, you really are missing an incredible amount of information. It is also really kind of a distractor for the trainer as well as the other participants. So out of respect for everybody involved, we do ask that you reschedule if you know that you're going to have to leave more than 10 minutes early or join more than 10 minutes late. Be aware that sessions are not recorded. Again, because of how interactive they are, trying to watch a recording of that would really serve the same purpose as the asynchronous sessions that you're already doing. This is the opportunity to work with other colleagues to really be able to work with that. So that recorded session doesn't suit the purpose for this.
So let's talk about the total time commitment. This is a very heavy, intense coursework load, and it is going to take some time. We estimate 1 hour per week. Some sessions may take more than an hour. Some sessions may take less than an hour. So that's why it is an estimate. For volume 1, you'll see we estimate 32 hours, and for volume 2, about 24, for a total of 56 asynchronous hours of study. The facilitated sessions, as we had said, are 6 hours per unit. So following each unit, you'll have a 6-hour training, and there are 4 units for each volume, which would mean a 48-hour total on top of the 56 hours already committed for asynchronous.
And recall that this is a total time over the course of a 2-year span. So you'll see volume 1 would be in year 1, volume 2 would be in year 2. So you can kind of cut those hours in half if you're looking at what the year commitment would be. We have had questions of, can we just do the asynchronous work or can we just do the facilitated sessions? These really do work in tandem. In order to go through letters to participate in this, we need the commitment to be able to do both the asynchronous work and the facilitated sessions. So what is it that our current participants think? Because we do know that this is a lot of work. Megan is currently going through letters herself. I have gone through letters and have also trained for letters as well. So we are right there with you and are aware of what is involved. But we did ask our current participants to kind of give us their thoughts. And we saw an overall theme in that, and you'll see a few quotes on your screen. But the overall theme from people who go through letters is that they realize as they very early into the program how little they really knew about how students learn to read, which can be somewhat frustrating sometimes because as certified teachers or teachers who are already working with this, we want to know why we sometimes don't know this information. Regardless of why, this program will help us understand how does the brain learn to read and how do we help students who are struggling with getting to that point. So you'll see where a lot of our teachers, our participants really, the first thing you realize is how much you just didn't know to begin with, but then we start learning and we start feeling so much better about what we can do. We also have several administrators going through that, and we strongly recommend our administrators to go through letters, especially with their staff members, so that you can really have an impact on the school culture as a whole. We know that our administrators, as our instructional leaders, are the ones that are making purchasing decisions and what kind of professional development we are involved with as a staff and leading the way with those academic decisions. And so it really helps to be able to make sure that they are also well informed about what students need in order to become effective readers. So you'll see this quote from one of our Oklahoma administrators about how letters made their professional learning community conversations richer and able to help dig into why certain students are struggling and helping to pinpoint what those needs are. And it's really changed the game for how students are taught to read, especially in those early grades.
So if you haven't already found it, we do have a dedicated website for the Oklahoma Science of Reading Academies. The link is there at the top. And we also communicate with our participants through newsletters and social media as well to keep everyone abreast of what's going on. There are 3 members of our OSD staff dedicated to help you in the Oklahoma Science of Reading Academies. You'll see Melissa and myself listed here. We are joined by Dylan Savage, our reporting specialist, and any 3 of us can answer any questions that you have. So please use our contact information here, either email us or give us a call if you need us.
So thank you for attending these. We will have a moment here for questions that you might have. But also know that if it's something that you are not wanting to ask on this webinar, you're also welcome to send any of us an email. We will get that. We just want to make sure that you are set up to be as successful as possible as we really work to shift the learning for our students in Oklahoma in the area of reading.